Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I discuss my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series, Megalo Box. And I gotta tell you, man, from right out of the gate, I was thoroughly on the edge of my seat once again with this episode because of that matchup between Gearless Joe and Mikio being in full force. And I was actually quite surprised, dropping into their match already in the second round at the start of the episode. Forget the preamble. We're just going to jump right into it. And the intensity of that, the way Mikio was not letting up his AI gear in full force and full function, the sort of simpatico between his instincts and the AI itself, reading his moves and his intentions, and just making everything he does instinctual. And this was an upgraded affair where he could actually read Joe's movements ahead of time and things like that and get down pat the different, rhythms of however he was going to try to approach Mikio, that kind of thing. Anytime there was repetition, it could pick up on that and it would recognize that, and Joe could never really, maneuver the same way twice without having his ass effectively handed to him, which he was getting his ass handed to him and then some throughout the majority of this episode. And I found it really intriguing, just the whole, the idea of blurring of the lines between the AI, the gear itself, how it is, sort of sutured into, I'm assuming, the brain stem of, Mikio in a similar fashion. It kind of reminded me of Doc Ock from the second Sam Raimi Spider-Man film, Spider-Man 2. However he's going to maneuver his body. I mean, so much of our movements, whether we're picking things up or flailing our arms, waving goodbye to somebody, whatever it is, there isn't any real, thought involved. It's just something that's instinctual. And so to see that Mikio has created this gear that is operational along those lines was really intriguing, as well as the lesson that coincides with all of that. The idea of, losing oneself, getting carried away by that. We see that he's taking injections to try to stabilize his psyche and his emotions and everything like that, so that he can be compatible with the AI and the output of that. We see it commingling in this episode. We see that it ends up, they both peak together in the ring against Joe to the point where they are suddenly fluid at one point. And it's interesting how you would think that would give Mikio the leg up, but that's really the teeter-tottering, the tipping edge of his downfall in this episode, because the entire time Joe is no slouch. He wasn't born yesterday. He's a smart guy. He is somewhat analytical in the way he's going about reading Mikio and observing him, and the dialogue between he and Nanbu Pops about what the finishing move is likely to be and everything like that. Even though they don't quite get it right, Joe ends up falling back on his own instincts and physicality. He has no enhancement. He has no gear. Gearless Joe, for a reason. They call him that. And it's fantastic to me that he's able to psych Mikio out effectively. Psych out both Mikio and the gear itself. And the lines are so blurred. The commentary to that degree of how lost in this Mikio has gotten. He's lost entirely any scruples he might have had to begin with. And he's just full force handing Joe his ass until Joe doesn't put up a fight anymore. He just completely stops blocking. He stops guarding, defending. And he's just standing there in the ring, and Mikio, it completely throws him off. So it throws off the AI gear entirely as well. And I was like, oh man, and then the cutting back and forth between Mikio's private sort of practice sessions, training and everything like that, pushing himself to the nth degree, jacking himself up with steroids or whatever it was, a calming agent, whatever it was that would make him work better with the AI, the way the gear was supposed to operate. And that once again, calling back on that whole Shirato group power struggle that is internal between Mikio and his sister. I mean, I was thinking once again, with the dialogue between Yuri and Mikio's sister, was she feeling reluctant after the fact because maybe there was something more to what Mikio was bringing to the table? And, the whole idea of Mikio's being so power hungry and being so jealous that he was passed over. as the figurehead of this business, I was once again reminded of The Godfather and the whole dynamic between Michael Corleone and his brother Fredo. And I was just left thinking, you know, as Mikio departs, and he's in his car and he's sort of lamenting, the loser goes home with nothing, huh? And then he smirks because, yeah, he's still got a car. He's still got, you know, the money he's got and everything like that and all the success that he has had. But it's a damn good thing. Like, I would worry if I were him, if his sister ever, you know, invited him out to go fishing, that kind of thing. Because if you've ever seen Godfather 2, that's where Fredo gets popped. Out on the lake, going fishing, and it's because of his brother, you know, because of that infighting and the betrayals that were part of that fallout, you know. And but the other leg finally drops with something of a surprise toward the end. And the reason I say something of a surprise is because this is something I have long, you know, anticipated was coming down the pike. The idea that when they're all celebrating, Joe has effectively kicked Mikio's ass, and you know, Sachio and all like their friends and everything like that, people who know them from the slums, they're all, you know, in their humble abode having a party, and Joe's just trying to go to sleep upstairs, whatever like that. Nanbu does sneak out, and there is the Yakuza boss guy that has been lording over them this entire time. And I had a suspicion from the early going, ever since we realized that there was a level of strong arming involved here and everything like that, that these successes, at some point, this would be a recurring hurdle. You know, the beast would double back on them at some point. No matter if they fulfilled their promises to the Yakuza boss, at some point he would bite them back in the end. And it seems very much, while it is not plain stated, it seems to be implied that he is expecting Nanbu, one way or the other, to get Joe to bow out, you know, take a dive at this late stage. Whether that's because of some clandestine cooperation between the Yakuza boss and Shirato Group, you know, Mikio's sister or whatever like that, or it's something Mikio's orchestrated, it, you know, remains to be seen. Maybe even Yuri. Maybe Yuri is operating outside of, you know, the Lady Shirato's purview, that kind of thing. Who knows exactly? But the impression is that, you know, okay, well, now it's time for you guys to quit. It was fun while it lasted, but you're taking a dive. It goes no further than this as far as your success goes, your winning goes. And that sucks. You know, like, holy crap, does that suck. And I'm going to be really highly intrigued to see where we go from there. Like, is there going to be a sort of divisiveness now between Pops and Joe? Is Joe going to feel betrayed and go off on his own? Sachio, you know, is he going to, like, end up leaving? Is this going to split up our group effectively, who have become so, you know, trusting toward each other, and they've become a cumulative group, you know? They trust and they have faith in each other, and they're carrying each other. You know, they couldn't have gotten this far without each other. And for this other leg to drop, a smack upside the head, a slap across the face, that will not only jeopardize everything they've already built up, but ever going anywhere else beyond that point, that's pretty tantamount. You know, it's pretty palpable to want to know what in the hell is going to happen next, how this is going to play out, you know, whether there's going to be a fallout to come, or whether our sort of heroes, if you will, are going to hunker down and you know, bite down and not let go, like the fierce junk dog that Joe started out as, the way he began. I don't have any idea. I have no idea. But yeah, you know, like I said, this episode, the intensity, the intrigue of this episode, I was on the edge of my seat all throughout. And I just love this series. I love its classic animation style, as I've talked about time and time again, throwing back to the 90s and things like Akira and Cowboy Bebop and such like that. And I'm just glad that even at this late stage, at least for me, it is utmost satisfying and just a spectacular watch. I look forward to it every week, and I look forward to talking about it just as well. So, yeah, otherwise, until the next one, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.